Alright everybody, hello and welcome as always. I am Sean. This is episode 77. I've forgotten how to say the word episode, but the alliteration on 77 is fantastic. And we're continuing our week, the second half of the season. Our first year in the championship, and things are going really, really well. If you haven't gone and watched yesterday's episode, go and check it out. It'll bring you up to speed. We've done a bit of a tactical tweak, and so far it's been working really well. Let's jump into the game and have a review of where we're doing. We're currently sitting down in 14th position. As you guys can see here, 28 games played, 12 wins, 5 draws, and 11 defeats. We are finally mostly wins after struggling really in the early part of the season. I think we're kind of settled in our tactic, and at the moment we've actually got 2 games in hand on a few of the other teams around the division, so potentially we could actually jump up a little bit higher than we currently sit as far as the division is concerned. Weirdly enough, we are only 9 points off top spot, and somehow only 8 points ahead of Derby, who are down in 21st position. So we're in a weird kind of middle area at the moment. The league is incredibly level, and from one week to another, if you have a bad run of form, if you have a good run of form, you can be talking the difference between playoff football and potentially a relegation battle. So we desperately want to keep our form going today. But I do know, I've played this game for long enough, I know how Sports Interactive works. Once you reload a save, anything can happen, and once you actually start recording, it would seem, anything can happen as well. Now, a bit of a change on what we initially said we were going to come back and do, which is the games against Swansea and Redding. We're going to play this game against Bristol. One, because they were a very good team when we played them way back when in the first episode of the season. They beat us 2-1, and they've done consistently quite well since then. So I kind of want to play them again to see if we're doing a lot better, if we've got a better measuring stick against them, and then also playing against Swansea, obviously because they're a championship, not a championship side, but a side that's previously been in the Premier League. They start with a relatively good strong, they have a strong youth academy. They're struggling a bit this year, down in 18th spot. But like I said, the league is very level, so I think they're going to be a better test than perhaps what their current ladder position or table position would allow. Now, since that last episode, where we, of course, played Sheffield Wednesday and then beat Ipswich 2-1 in the FA Cup, we beat Nottingham Forest 1-0, Emmanuel Hernandez de Vargas getting one of his first goals for the club, 79th minute winner in that game. We were quite good in this game. We then had a 2-2 draw with West Brom. West Brom very good. We did go a goal ahead and they pegged us back. We went 2-0 up and then they pegged us back. Morgan Rogers and Rian Brewster, they've got a very, very strong squad, getting the 2 goals there to make it a 2-2 draw. They were sitting top of the division at that time. They've dropped off a little bit now. But again, similar to us, they've only played 28 games, so I think they can jump back up to top spot, depending on results elsewhere over the next few weeks. We then had our FA Cup games against Burnley, Premier League Burnley, although they are sitting in the relegation places as things currently stand. We drew 1-1 with them away at Turf Moor. Chris Granger getting an equalising goal after Sandfield put them up early on. We were very good in this game. We definitely could have won it. Dave Rowley got himself sent off in 78th minute. But we managed to hold on. We managed to defend our lead, which has been a really, really difficult occurrence so far this season, defending when our backs are against the wall. And when I say defending our lead, God, it's late in the day. You guys can kind of tell when I'm recording these during the daytime, after work, late at night. This is definitely a late at night recording, judging by how I'm tearing through it at the moment. But we did quite well to hold on to the 1-1 draw. And then we went away then when they came and visited us in Douglas at the Bowl at the FC Isle of Man Stadium, and we won 3-1. Henry Doran, Stuart Daubert and Scott Welsh with the goals. We did quite well to go ahead early. Alejandro Pozzo scored an absolute screamer to bring them back into the game, and I thought, here we go, they're going to run over us in the last 20 minutes or so. But then Stuart Daubert on the counter-attack found a wonderful finish, and as they pushed for an equaliser and left men forward, Scott Welsh scored from a corner as well as part of a tremendous performance, him getting an 8.9 rating. It doesn't really reflect here in the goal scorers, but Rafinha was immense in this game. I think he got all 3 assists for the goals. So a fantastic performance from him, which has been wonderful to see. We then beat Watford, who are a very, very good team, 1-0. Henry Doran with a wonderful strike from a counter-attack, getting us the goal in the 26th minute, and we were thankfully able to keep a clean sheet in that one and carry on our little result. And I think if we look at our form, back here where we were having a really difficult run in October and November, we were just struggling to keep clean sheets. Now that we've actually kind of had a couple of clean sheets here sprinkled in around the place, we seem to be consistently picking up points a little bit more. We are on the cusp of a perfect January, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. We're just going to take it one game at a time and try and get the best results that we can. As far as the squad is concerned, there have been a couple of changes. If we go to our transfers and transfers out, we are still within the transfer window itself. There's a few players that may still potentially leave, but John Mashin's already left. He's gone to Stoke under 23s. Alex Busby's left. He's gone to Millwall under 23s. And Matt McCluskey has headed out to Hamilton over in the Scottish Premier Division. Fantastic servant for the club. We had him for 4 years, all the way since our League 2 campaign, right at the end of that particular season. Still did quite well, but he's 21 years of age now. He's not playing first team football. I don't think he's going to reach that potential, certainly not in our side. So it was a good time to move him on, give him an opportunity to continue his career development. And we thank him and wish him all the best as well. The other one, which is a little bit more painful, is Toby Sheriff. The Sheriff has had his loan cancelled by Barnsley. He was fantastic for us. The issue was when we brought him in, I think I committed to the loan agreement of playing him as a goalkeeper. And while he played pretty much every game for us, 27 appearances for the league itself, he played as a sweeper keeper the majority of the time because that was the role he was most interested in. What I didn't know was that they could actually terminate the loan based on that agreement not being fulfilled correctly. So even though he played every week, even though he got a lot better, they were still annoyed enough to actually recall him. And it does mean that in a couple of weeks in February, we are likely going to play against him when we line up against Barnsley. So hopefully we smash the absolute living shit out of him. And unfortunately, his contract's got a few more years on it, so it's not like we can bring him in on a permanent deal or anything like that. Because of that, we have rotated our keeper. We are a little bit weaker now. We've got Biggin Vizcanyan, who's one of the guys we picked up in January. Initially, I was just going to let him go out on loan. I'm going to continue to play him. He's not probably as good as Jack Donkin is right now, but he's got a higher ceiling and he's on a few years worth of deal. Jack Donkin is great, but his contract's up at the end of the season. And I think if we're going to go back into the market for someone who's younger than the age of 21, we'd want their current ability to be a little bit better. We want them to be like 3.5 4-star and potentially 5-star potential. So for that reason, I haven't made him the first choice. I'm going to go with Vizcanyan. I reserve the right to change my mind about that in future. But so far, so good. We haven't lost with him in goal for the 2 appearances that I think he's made. It is a massive downer. We would have liked to have kept the Sheriff for the entire season, but these things do happen. We can get through the end of the year, and hopefully Vizcanyan will continue to grow and improve throughout the course of that time as well. Otherwise, the lineup is pretty much the same as what we've been going through all throughout. I think we do need to rotate just a little bit based on some form and fitness and whatever else. You can see here a couple in the last 5 games haven't necessarily played to the peak of their powers. Phil Nelson has struggled, but in the next one, we've got Wright out suspended. De Vargas, unfortunately, has an injury at the moment, which isn't great. He's going to be out 5 to 11 days, so we might not actually even see him in this episode. Ramsey can come in as a deep line forward, but we've brought in Daniel Knowles as well. He's still on the transfer list. We will still move him on if we need to. And you know what? Thinking about it out loud, I'm going to play him as a deep line forward in this game. And I might give Wademan a bit of a spell as well for Granger. And we'll move Granger to be a Messiah on support, knowing that Bristol are a decent side. Otherwise, we're still positive. Otherwise, we're still working through our standard shape, formation, tactic, all that sort of stuff. And what I desperately want is to carry on the good form that we've been in January. There's nothing worse than reloading a save and your form goes flying out the window and you can't put together 6 passes, let alone find the back of the net. But magic of editing, let's jump forward and have a look at the 2 lineups. And just to recap our lineup, Vizcanyan in goal. He's actually making his league debut. The previous game was in the cup competition. Greisinger and Welch will play together as a central defensive partnership. Greisinger's been fantastic so far in January, and I think a big reason for our uptick in form. Preston Kelly takes the armband with Tyrone Taylor out of the squad at the moment. He'll play at left fullback. Nelson comes in at right fullback for the suspended Right. Dorba and Rafinha as the 2 wingers. Rafinha's been excellent over the last month or so, definitely taking place in the lineup ahead of Dave Reilly. Granger, of course, comes in the middle. The Wolf has been absolutely tremendous. We're trying to get the Wolf to sign a new contract at the moment. It will see him become the highest paid player in our history, but I desperately want to keep him. There's a lot of Premier League sides that are actually starting to look at him, and it's not just like relegation-bound Premier League sides. It's like some proper mid-table, potentially challenging for Europe places as well. Knowles at the 10 and Doran, our leading scorer, leading the line. They're playing a 4-3-3, but who gives a shit about Bristol? Let's just go and beat the piss out of them. Passionately, let's say, I know a lot of you have been keen to avenge what happened the last time, and let's also assertively tell the 2 forwards that we have faith in them. If I can get Henry Doran in form and hitting the back of the net with regularity, we're going to do tremendously well. Bristol City, not even kicking a ball in this game. This additional point would see them move up to 5th place, and they're very much still ingrained in that playoff picture. They've got a corner here, Pepe to take. He gave us all sorts of issues in the first game. Nelson with a header away, but we've got a close down Hall at the top of the box. It's a wonderful strike. Oh, sorry, it's Halil, not Hall. Halil Dervisoglu, who looks to be, he's played from either Sunderland or someone with white and red stripes. It's headed away from Nelson. It's not bad, but then Hall just takes a touch around Rafinha and he wraps that one around the defensive line. Keeper doesn't see it till late. Would the Sheriff have caught that one maybe? Would he have pushed it out for a corner? It's hard to say, but I guess that's the difference that we have to deal with now. Our keeper is now a 2.5-star prospect as opposed to a 4-star player. We've got a goal kick here. Vizcanyan to take. Forward to Welsh. Now Greisinger. We've got a 2v1 on the left here if we slide it across quick enough. Granger instead goes to Wolf. He's got a man over the shoulder in Doran who gets goal skied. Can he pull away and find the finish? He can indeed. What a wonderful goal that is from Henry Doran. And I would love to say that we're like this tiki-taka side that tears teams apart, but sometimes the Wolf just punt a ball over the top for Doran to go and chase. It's a wonderful diagonal run. and an excellent straight ball. If the run's diagonal, the ball goes straight. If the ball goes diagonal, the run should be straight. That's very simple, basic football that you teach at a very basic early level, and it's a wonderful run and a wonderful finish. And then he pulls out the little I don't know, gymnastics roll. What do you call that thing that Robbie Keane used to do? Nelson, now to Wolf, back in the highlight. Granger, reverse pass. Now to Doran, out to Rafinha, who maybe could have gone around the man there. Instead, now he's taking too many touches, looking for Doran inside, who takes a great touch, and it's a good save, forces Walton to push that one just over the crossbar. Resulting corner to be taken by Rafinha on the right-hand side, favours the left footer. Needs to beat the first man, though he doesn't. It's headed away. Johnson comes forward for Bristol. Is that the end of the highlight, or is he going to carry this all the way through? And Granger just ends up clipping him on the halfway line. Oh, they've got a deep free kick here. Pepe's in the area. They're giving us some grief from these set-piece situations. Alexandra Penetra getting the goal on that one. It seems against the run of play, but I can't really say we've had a tremendous amount of highlights. All 3 highlights we've seen so far have been goals. It's a good ball from Pepe, and it's just poor defensively. We had 3 guys around the ball with their 3 players. We need to try and work that man advantage to not be at front post and to be at back post. We're going to demand more for the last 10 minutes of the half. Corner here, Dorber to take. Welsh is back sick, and has managed to clip the crossbar on the way over for the goal kick. Throw in here, right-hand side for Bristol. We need to get tighter to the men. Sheriff plays it back to Johnson. Deep ball across towards Nelson, who heads it away. Pert Harris at the top of the box. It's very similar with Nelson heading it away and a midfielder having a strike from distance. That might be a bit of an issue in our defensive set-piece routines. Aggressive, let's expect to see much better showing from you in the second half. We need to motivate them a little bit to go out and try and find an equaliser or a winner. And we will, as we always do, give it 15 minutes before we look at subs, form, fitness, yellow cards, all that sort of stuff. Make changes. Granger with a free kick, first highlight of the second half, and it's Henry Doran with his second goal of the game. Welsh with a wonderful header back across the goal, and Doran, thankfully, the fox in the box to smash that one home. We restore parity 6 minutes into the second half, so we've at least seen a response out of the team, which is always great character. Good header from Welsh, and Doran just smashes that one home on the slide tackle. He probably took it off the boot of Wolf there, if I'm being completely honest, but that's fine. A goal is a goal. I don't really care who scores it. All right, we're through the hour mark now. We're just going to go based on one who's on the bench and then also performances. So Ramsey's going to come on for Knowles, who struggled a little bit. Morris is going to come on for Preston Kelly, who never seems to play well anymore. And Rafinha will come off with Dave Rowley, get an opportunity on the left wing to try and wrap his left foot peg around a ball and get something in the box for us to get our head on. We're going to use our Get Creative shout as well after an hour. It seems to work pretty consistently well. Everybody seems to have responded positively to it, but what I really need is us to find the back of the net and get the 3 points in this one. We still haven't had a 6-point episode, and I thought this would be a fantastic opportunity for us to do it. There's 10 minutes remaining in the game. We're going to use our demand more shout. They've immediately got a highlight. If they score here, I'm going to be furious. Mumba, strike from the top of the box maybe. Johnson goes back to Mumba now. He's miles out, played forward to Johnson. Just stand him up, boys. Don't need to overcommit. Plays inside to Harvey Barnes, ex-Leicester. Ball in across to Halil, and he's offside, surely. It's either a wonderful, wonderful ball, or he's absolutely offside, or it's a perfectly timed run. Halil with his second goal of the game, and they worked it quite well here. They didn't really seem uncomfortable in possession at any point, and it's here where Johnson gets the ball. It's a wonderful pass across the 6-yard box. I think he might actually be onside, to be fair, and that's pretty poor defensively at the far post by Phil Nelson again, who struggled for a couple of the goals that we've conceded today. We got anything left in us? The last couple of minutes here, there's going to be 4 minutes of additional time, it looks like. We're through the majority of that now, and I think the game's the referee calls full time. We are just not destined to get 6 points in any recording this week. I think we are officially cursed. 14 shots, 7 on target, 63% of the ball for us. 14 shots, 9 on target, 37% for Bristol. But they got the 3 goals, and that's really the difference. Assertively, not happy with your performance out there. At least everyone's responded positively. And I guess if you want to focus on the positive, with games coming thick and fast, we can't really focus too much on the result. We just have to pick ourselves up, go again, and try and get 3 points against Swansea. 29 games played, that's 12 wins now, 5 defeats and 12 draws. We're on 41 points and a 0 goal difference. So I don't think we're quite getting dragged back into the relegation discussion. And maybe I just need to take a deep breath and ground myself. Our target for this season is to just stay in the league. I shouldn't really worry too much about that. Scott Welsh needs a rest. I can't give him one, unfortunately. Vizcanyan makes his debut, which is good to see. Unfortunately, not on a winning team. And Henry Doran was fantastic. Let's give him a bit of praise just so he can keep his run going. Because Scott Welsh is still struggling, I'm going to give him 2 days rest, and I'm going to give everybody else that started the match just 1 day's rest. And we might make a couple of changes based on form, fitness, and all that sort of stuff before the game against Swansea. But magic of editing, we're going to jump forward and have a look at the 2 lineups now. All right, just like that, we're a couple of days ahead. I've made a few changes here. I brought in Morris at left fullback. I just don't think Preston Kelly's done enough over the course of the season to warrant continuing getting opportunities. I've brought Wademan in midfield for Granger just to give us a little bit more drive carrying the ball through midfield, and I've brought on Ramsey in place of Knowles up top at the 10. He's not in great form at the moment, but 6.88 average rating for the season isn't anything to be sneezed at. He's still trying to work his way to play up front instead of at that number 10 role. He's probably the biggest sacrifice that we've had to make in terms of changing back to the 4-4-2 structure, but the team results come before Ramsey's development, and he will go back to Middlesbrough at the end of the season, so we shouldn't focus too much on it. They're playing a 4-3-3, which looks relatively solid. They've got ex-youth England keeper Nathan Broom, who comes through the Man City and Stoke academies at the start of your particular save. He looks solid, not spectacular. It doesn't say anything about youth caps here, but he's wearing an England kit in his facepack photo, so he must be all right. They've got Ryan Giles, who they picked up from Wolves early on in the series, made nearly 200 appearances for Swansea, so they've had him for quite a while, never cut the mustard at Wolves at the start of the series. Dylan Levitt, who actually caused us some issues last time we played Swansea, if I remember correctly. He's a decent little player, 16 passing, the big one that jumps out at you there, comes through the Man United Academy at the start of the game. And their captain leading the line up front, Thomas, looks fairly solid, played at Derby for a little bit back in the start of the series, and now he's been at Swansea for a good few seasons now, Welsh international as well. And from memory, and I could be wrong, Sydney Tavares, I think, gave us the issues last time. Comes through the Leicester Academy at the start of everyone else's series and saves. He's been at Burnley. He went back to Leicester a little bit. And now he's been at Swansea for a good couple of seasons, made a good amount of games. I think he got like a free kick and maybe a volley from a corner or something like that. The name rings a bell, but I know there's another Tavares that plays in the league as well, so maybe I'm thinking him. Passionately, I'm going to say we owe Swansea after what happened in our last match. If I was a good content creator and a good manager, I probably would have told you what that result was, but I cannot for the life of me remember it. It was probably in an episode now that I remember it. They've got to throw in here early doors. We're still just on our positive structure. Given that they are not super far behind us, I want to be a little bit conservative for the first half at least, but we might switch to attacking if things aren't working out. Levitt with a reverse pass to Thomas, and he's found the finish, the first highlight of the game, and they've scored in the 8th goal of the season for Josh Thomas. And are the floodgates about to open here? That seemed very easy for them, just a bit lethargic through midfield at the moment. Levitt, now he goes across to Beauregard, and then it's a nice little reverse pass. Gressinger turned inside and out. Thomas with the drive back across the keeper, and Biscanyan. I'm not going to shit on Biscanyan for the rest of the season, but I do wonder, would the Sheriff have actually saved that one in a similar scenario? Nelson with long ball forward for no reason at all. Giles plays it back through midfield, but Wademan does quite well, finds a reverse pass to Dora, and can he find the finish and bail us out again? He's managed to keep it in, but Nissen, he's recovered again. Can he find the cutback? Instead, he gives possession away. Just needed to try and find that little knock ball to Ramsey to smash it home, but at least we've had some sort of response, albeit a very scrappy and ugly looking one. Deep free kick here. Diodario takes for Swansea, just inside their own half. He's trying to dribble here, but he's being held up quite well by Rafinha. Neil, managed by Morris, but he's turned away from him now. Just stand him up, boys. Don't do anything silly. Gets a ball across towards Thomas. It's a poor flicked on header. We're just playing pinball here at the moment. Someone just needs to get a foot on it instead of a flick on header. Bowen beats one in a wide area, gets a strike away. Viscanian does quite well, gets his angles covered right and holds. There's a highlight here. Diodario with a deep free kick. He's gone straight over the top to Thomas, who has gotten goal side in the wide left area. Good save from Viscanian. And Nelson's recovered possession. And he had all the time in the world to pass that to a teammate. He's just belted that one into row G. We're going to go get creative here. 15 minutes remaining in the first half. If we can pull something back before half time, we might be in a better shape. But at least if we go in at half time, I know I can pull out the rocket. I know I can go attacking in the second half and see how we do. We've got a deep throw in here. Neil on the right-hand side finds Diodario. Now Neil again. Then back to Thomas. Diodario to Levitt. Gets a strike away. It wasn't a bad effort. And the referee calls half-time. I'm actually curious that it was the right winger that took the throw in and played it to the fullback and then got it back. Maybe with the amount of frequency that a player takes a throw in and then gets the ball back, we should actually have our wingers take them instead of the fullbacks. That's something to think about. We might have a look at that little set-piece tweak in the next episode. I'm going to aggressively say, show me something else in the second half, and let's also pull out our attacking structure, which just has Wademan change his role a little bit, but the whole team plays a little bit higher up the park. We're 1-0 down at half-time, away from home. We don't really have anything to lose. We might as well go after it. They've got to throw in here again. Similar story. They've played it to the winger. It's a poor ball to the top of the box. We do need to close him down, though. Swings it out left to Giles, the overlapping fullback, and Bowen's found another goal. Eddie Bowen, his second goal of the season. Very disappointing episode, this one. I know I said at the start, anything can happen once you start recording, but I'm just getting deja vu at the moment. We go on these fantastic runs of form. We finally tend to get our tactic down and our lineup right and whatever else. And then I save the game. I go and edit an episode. I go and do whatever else, sleep, eat, go to work, come back the next day, and it's all just gone out the window. And don't get me wrong, this save's been fantastic. I've been tremendously fortunate in a variety of ways to have been promoted and won the league titles that we have. Ramsey with the strike, and he's pulled a goal back, second goal of the season. Maybe I just need to continue feeling sorry for myself, and Sports Interactive will hear it and continue to give me goals. Wonderful finish for Ramsey. Only his second goal of the season. We don't get much of a goal scoring contribution out of him, considering he's played pretty much the whole year as a 10 or up front. He's done quite well, gets goal side of the defender, uses his body well, and then just finds that he couldn't be more bottom corner if he wanted to there for the finish. It's going to set up probably like a tense 30 minutes or so here. Can we turn this one around? Let's do our subs a little bit earlier. Let's sort by match rating. Morris has struggled, so Preston Kelly comes on. We just can't seem to nail down this left back spot at the moment. Dave Rowley will come on again for Rafinha, who's struggled. And then who else have we got that we could potentially bring on to try and change the game a little bit? Maybe Ricky Dean on the right-hand side. I don't think we've seen too much out of Dorber. Let's go. Yeah, let's screw it. Let's go with that. We'll trust our players that are on yellow cards aren't going to do anything silly and take us down to 10 man. Let's also use our get creative shout. We have got, we've conceded a corner here. Levitt to take. Deep ball across towards back stick. Robinson's the only Swansea player anywhere near the ball. We've got 3 players. Gressinger, who should do better. He's an absolute beast. Preston Kelly, who's just walked on the field. And Nelson, all at back post here. And not one of them get anywhere near the ball. Look at that cross in. That's pathetic. That's really, really poor defending. From all of you guys, you're letting me down. We've got a corner of our own here. Can we pull something back and make this a little bit interesting? Rowley plays it to Dean. Square ball towards Doran. It pinballs around and then Giles hacks it away. Welsh can get the ball back in. It's a poor cross towards Rowley, but he's done quite well with it. Wolf now, top of the box. Looks out wide right to Welsh. He cannot cross the ball to save himself. So resets back through Welsh again. Smart play. Looked out towards the left, but it's a poorly placed pass, which is rare for the Wolf. Switch now to Bowen. If Swansea go up the other end and score here, no, Nelson's gone and pulled him back. And Nelson's going to get sent off. And we're going to go down to 10 men. And I'm going to die a little bit inside. Second yellow card for Nelson. Probably 6 minutes after I made all 3 subs. The game hates me right now. That's where we're at. That's who we are. What am I going to do here? All right, let's just go get real weird with it. Hey, we've got an advanced playmaker on attack. No right back. 2 central defenders on yellow cards. We picked up the ball in a good area here. The Wolf in a wide area. And he gets a strike away. Did quite well. Maybe could have taken an extra touch. Tried to wrap it around the 6-yard box or found the cut back to the penalty spot. Rowley with the free kick. Dean tries the cross. It gets us another corner. I'm going to use our get creative shout as well because why not? Rowley. Just go direct in. It's a poor... Oh, Wademan actually did well to recover it at the top of the box, but it was a poor ball in. Not towards any one particular player. Clearance should go to Preston Kelly. This does mean we're going to be left 1v1 at a lot of set pieces. Ramsey across to the Wolf. Looks to flick it on, but then Robertson hacks it away. Welsh should recover under no challenge. He's taking his sweet time. You wouldn't think that he's 3-1 down. And then he's cleared it to nobody in particular. Tavares to Giles. Now to Bowen. Just stand him up, boys. Don't overcommit. Overlapping run from the fullback there. Finds Giles on the left-hand side. He's tried to cut it back. It's closed down well. Tavares with the goal. I hate this game sometimes. I hate it. Sydney Tavares, who I did say at the start, rang a bell. And as I watched that ball sail into the back of the net, it did have a very familiar feeling about it. So I think he scored quite a few against us this season. It's a poor cross there, and then Bowen just squares it up. And Tavares, first time of asking, maybe playing Vizcanyan isn't the right idea. Maybe we should get Jack Donkin back in. Because if we start getting dragged back down towards the relegation spots, oh my God, we've given the ball away in midfield. Burton, if he had finished then, I don't know what I would have done. Maybe just walked away and just let the game play out with nobody sitting in this chair. Maybe that would be really good content for you guys. You'd prefer that, not listening to my shitty Australian accent talk over the top of decent football games. Shout out to any Swansea fans who are watching. They must be absolutely loving this. We're going to demand more. Last 10 minutes. Try and just save some face, boys. If we pull another goal back as 10 men, I shouldn't be upset. And yes, I'm sure someone in the comment section will say, well, when you went down to 10, did you stay on attacking? Because we had to score. That's why. Tavares, ball on the left-hand side. Just stand him up, boys. Don't do anything silly. Ball in towards Burton. It's a good tackle away from Gressinger, who must have heard me talking shit about him earlier. Throw in here, right-hand side to Robertson. Now to Burton. Rowley recovers in a good area, but Diodario is going to win the ball back. Beauregard. Doran's doing busy work there. We're going to switch back to our positive mentality here for the last 5 minutes or so. Long ball forward. Burton brings it down and he rounds Welsh with ease, and thankfully a good save from Vizcanyan. Pushes that one out for the corner. We are making Swansea look like Barcelona at the moment, the way that they're just turning players and walking around and doing whatever else. 4 minutes to be added on here. Let's get this over as quickly as possible, boys, and let's pick ourselves back up and get our shit together. Swansea 4-1 winners, 21 shots, 12 on target, 45% possession. We had 11 shots, 7 on target, 55% of the ball. I'm going to calmly say, far from pleased with what I should see from this team. Herman Rodson, who's only been my assistant manager for a couple of weeks, always tells me that the boys have done really well. They haven't. We just lost 4-1. Like, what game were you watching? Sydney Tavares gets the man of the match award with a 9.0 match rating. I'm going to have to remember that name for next season when we absolutely belt the piss out of them. Assertively, oh no, this was Scott Welsh. I thought that was about, I just kind of went into like autopilot there for a second and I thought he got him the player of the match award. He needs a rest in the next game, but we've got Redding who are second in the division, so that's probably not going to happen, but maybe he can have the game off after when we play Wigan, who we should be beating, given that we beat them last season. So look at how great our form was. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 wins, including games against Premier League opposition, and then all of a sudden we reload the game and we lose 3-2 and 4-1, conceding 7 goals in 2 games after not conceding 7 goals for our previous 12 games. The positive is we do have quite a bit of time to turn our run of form around before the next episode. We will come back and do this game against Blackburn. I know we've played Blackburn a couple of times over the last few years. I will try and cut them out of videos for next season when we get to it. But I do desperately want to give you guys the game against Bournemouth in the FA Cup. Again, it's Premier League opposition. They're sitting in 12th. It's a very different Bournemouth side to what you guys would be familiar with today. They've got some good players. Mason Greenwood plays there now. Hataran, who I've seen at a couple of different series around YouTube. Frank Kessie plays there at the moment. Axel Twanzebe, they've signed from Man United. Chris Mepham still going in the Bournemouth squad. So it's a very different team, and I think a relatively good team. They've been in the Premier League the entirety of the 10 years that we've been playing this save now. So of course we do want to try and bring you that massive cup tie in case we can get through. It does mean we'll probably play like 5 or 6 games off screen, but given the amount of work I'm going to have to do as far as like analysing the team, altering the tactic, fucking around with the lineup, it's probably best that we do that off screen in case it's incredibly frustrating. As always, guys, thank you for the continued support on the series and on the channel. I appreciate it a tremendous amount. The most important part to me is that for the limited minutes that you guys have available to consume content, watch episodes, do whatever else, you're choosing to spend a bit of that time with me, even though I can't do outros properly, even though I'm getting tongue-tied all throughout the course of the evening. I think it's just the frustration of conceding 7 goals in an episode. If you want to go that extra mile and help support me a little bit more, you can drop a like on this video. It gets our videos higher up in results when people search for Football Manager. It grows our community. It does all that wonderful stuff that continue to help the channel grow. Or you can subscribe to this channel if you want to be kept up to date on future videos as they continue to be released. But as always, I've been Sean, and I'll see you guys again in the mixer.